Welcome to the Crochet Show with your host Nikki. I am so excited to be here. So today we're actually going to cover 3 different ways on how to crochet a beanie or hat. Let's get right into number 1. Number 1 is top-down beanies. Let me show you what I'm talking about, okay? So a top-down beanie looks like this right here, okay? It's just a typical beanie. So let's explain it, okay? So a top-down beanie literally is made from a tiny circle, from nothing pretty much, and it's increasing a circle, like literally you're making a circle, enter a certain size, okay, and that certain size is the diameter of a hat for a specific head. And I have a reference table for you, so don't you worry, it's all in the link in the description. And then once you have the specific diameter of the hat or the circle, right, then you're going to work your way down. First, you're going to make your circle, right? And once you reach a certain point, again, the diameter of the hat or the circle, then you're simply going to work your way down. No more increases or anything. You're just going to expand until you reach the head height. So there's 2 numbers you need, the diameter and the height. So the height would be from wherever you like to have your hat, right? I like it from here until here, right? So that's typically the height that you want to think about. And that is pretty much what you're going to need. So you need 2 measurements to do that, right? So this would be top-down beanie. A lot of people do not add a pom-pom for a beanie, okay? They literally, if it goes top-down, they don't add a beanie. You can add ribbing around it if you like. You can simply leave it as the way I just showed it to you, pretty much simple. That was actually a chunky beanie, which is super easy to do. It's like a beginner chunky beanie that takes you less than an hour to do, okay? Really easy, super fun. So that is a top-down beanie. So that is number 1. Do you know the other 2? So number 2 is probably also very, very familiar. And number 2 is a bottom-up hat. So what do I mean by that? It means you're going to first make the ribbing of the brim, right, all the way around. Typically done in a long way. It's like a long rectangle, a ribbed long rectangle. Then you seam it together with either single crochet slip stitches, sew it together if you wish, right? That's the idea behind it. And then you work your way up. Now, there's 2 different ways how you can work your way up. You can first go work your way up until a certain point and then decrease. Or you do the easy way, which a lot of people do because it gives a little bit more texture and dimension, is simply go straight and then use the basting stitch to close up the hole. And what happens when you do is it's going to look like this, right? Here is one of my new hats, which is the striped silk hat, right? So I don't know if you can see, but I pretty much went up, right? So I made a double folded over brim, right? So that's what I did on this one, folded over. I love that. I know it's more work, but it's just so beautiful, and I love that it's a little bit more dimension, a little bit more texture, and a little bit more warmth, right? So it is double, right? So I wrote it in a way so you can make it half if you wish, right? So once you have the ribbing, you work your way up, and then you use the basting stitch, go all the way around, and then you pull, and then you close up the hole, right? And then you simply going to sew it up and make sure it doesn't go anywhere, right? Now, if you make it even taller, I'm actually pulling this up a little bit. I don't know if you can see this. And then you can make it, you know, slouchy. I don't like it slouchy. I like it kind of tight and floofy, right? So this is how I do it. I pull it down a little bit so it's nice and cozy and really tucked in for the winter, right? And snuggly, just love it. So that is the bottom up version. You can pretty much use any stitch you like all the way over here. And the cool thing on this is there's no increases or decreases. This is really, if you don't like increases or decreases, then this is the style that you want. Really, it's the style. But it's a little bit of extra work because you have that ribbing, right? Now you can either do it fold over or you do it non-fold over, up to you. Most people put a pom-pom on the back of it if you have a bottom-up hat. So there's a difference. One is called a beanie, one's called a hat. This is typically known as a hat, right? So, and it also usually has a pom-pom on top, okay? So let me show you though another version which may be even easier. So I don't know if you know the third version. Do you know the third version? It's very similar to this one actually, just that it doesn't go in circles. So the last version is a rectangle to hat. What does that mean? That means you're literally making a flat rectangle, like literally. So you're using the two measurements I mentioned earlier, which is the beanie versions that I talked about. You need the diameter and you need the height, right? So you have one way, the diameter, you can, do it twice, right? So anyways, so you have a rectangle, right? And then you have the height. So what you can also do is to circumference, right? And for the rectangle, the circumference is much easier to do than using the diameter. So what you do is you have the circumference of your hat or your head, right? Depending on who you're making it for. If it's for yourself, it would be the same. And you have the rectangle, the long width, right? Or the length, in which way you want to call it. The long side of the rectangle will be the head circumference, and the hat height, or the head height, right, is the short version. Once you do so, you're going to fold it up, right, and seam it on two sides. It would be, right, so if you have, let me see if I can hold this properly. If this is the rectangle, right, you're going to fold it together, and then you're going to seam it here and here, right? But the top part of it, so this one is going to stay same, but up here it's going to be the basting stitch again, right? So you're going to pull until this crunches up on the top, and you're going to have a hat. So one of them stays that way. So your seam, like with the mattress stitch, slip stitch, single crochet, whatever you like to do, right? On that one side. And then on the top where you do the basting stitch, you have to pull, right? Now, how's it going to look like? Well, here is one hat that I made using that style. The cool thing on this one, also no increases or decreases. You have a rectangle and you make it into a hat. Boom! Now, most of the time, of course, you can see on this one, it doesn't really have that ribbing. However, you can fold it over if you wish. You make it a little bit longer and you fold it over. Or in my case, as you can see on this image right here, that you can turn it from a slouchy to non-slouchy, right? I can technically, even for this one, do this, right? And then have it slouchy. Boom. So you could do that as well, right? So you can turn it from a slouchy to a tight hat. So if you just fold it over, right? Or do the unfolding, and then you have the slouchy. In this case, you can see the slouchy. Now, I also have a version, which a lot of people don't know of this version. It's a very old pattern. It looks like this. It's a tie-up beanie. I call it tie-up beanie because it's made up from a rectangle. In the back, it is tied up. So you literally use a tie to tie up the back of it. You can kind of see the strings over here, right? So it's actually slightly open in the back. And it's a little bit, as you can see how the top is tied up, and I did not add a beanie or like a pom-pom on top or anything, but that is what it is. So, which is actually really cool. If you've ever looked it up, you should look it up. It's called Tie-Up Beanie, my website. And again, link is in the description for everything. So this one is actually a really, really fun one. So if you want to try that one out, it has some cables too. So that is everything about hats and beanies. 3 different ways. 3 different ways on how to make a hat or a beanie. Have you tried these yet? I want to know if you've tried all 3 of them, and which one is your favorite? I want to know. Now, question. Do you like challenging yourself? If you do, then my membership is for you, because it is not only a membership, it is not a normal membership. It is a community with real results. That means you literally learn from me through a live tutorial of exactly what you want to learn about. And you get hundreds of PDF patterns from me, and you get my support priority number one. You're VIP crocheter at this point if you join TCC, the Crochet Club, my membership. Link is in the description. If you want to challenge yourself, get out of the comfort zone, and want a real community that cares about you and for you to get real results. Okay, so next week we're going to have something brand new, and I'm really excited about it. So I hope to see you next week here again for the crochet show. Remember, I have the link in the description for all the information that we talked about. And until then, I'll see you next time. Bye!